Hi, I'm Michael Allison, Commercial Director at Roma Finance. Welcome to another episode of RomaTalks, where we meet people from across the property ecosystem. And today, I'm delighted to be joined by the LinkedIn personality himself, a good friend of Roma's, Mr. Colin Horton.
Thank you, Michael, for having me. It's a really good setup, this you've got here.
Well,
I'm very impressed, mate.
Thank you very much.
Nice.
I'd love to say it was ours. It's rented, but yeah, I can see that you're already trying to value it as well. So
Yeah, it's lovely, mate. It's nice.
So before we go any further, obviously we know each other
Yep.
quite well. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So, obviously, my name's Colin. I actually hate my name. It's a terrible name. God knows why anyone calls their baby Colin, but my parents did. And I generally feel very passionately about trying to make our sector better. I've been in and around property now for 15 years. I started off in asset management, and then really went hell for leather on secured lending about 2 years ago now. And partly for my own negative experiences I'd had with bridging and valuation generally. And I was like, why are these valuers so anonymous? Why they never own up to maybe making a mistake or not listening to evidence that's put forward? And I was like, we can make a change. And valuation, as you all know, it's quite a dry topic at the best of times. We're not very popular, and it's been dominated by legacy firms for a long time. So we've come in, I'm fresh out of Essex, covered in tattoos. They're like, who the hell is this guy? And I just want to help people get deals done. Lenders lend well, help brokers earn good money, and at the same time build a good business that we can eventually sell, hopefully for lots of money, and I can retire. So that's the game plan.
In a very short
There you
space
go.
of time. Well, you mentioned there about, I think your strapline is surveying with personality. And is that something that you felt was lacking
Yeah, I
in
think
your experience, I guess?
no, 100%. Surveying is a very binary topic. Generally, it's number based, factual, and I don't feel many surveyors and valuers are happy to tell a story, tell the narrative. When you speak to someone, because ultimately it's a very emotional thing that you're actually involved with, and I think we're very quick to forget that as valuers. We just look at an instruction and think, oh, okay, that's worth £1 million. Oh, actually, no, it's not actually worth that. Maybe it's 900 grand or whatever. The ecosystem, what you touched on earlier, is huge. There's the brokers. Obviously, there's the applicant who you don't know, that could be their make or break for their marriage. You don't know. There's the brokers. Again, that deal might be what keeps them going afloat. The BDMs, they need that to keep their jobs. The underwriters have got to make sure the deal stacks up, otherwise they're getting sacked. And obviously the company owners need to make sure that the money they're lending, they're making money on. So there's a lot of people involved, and it's not just a binary kind of act that I do. And I thought, you know what, if we can add a little bit of personality to what is a dry space, and because a lot of the good people like yourself and you've got some brilliant BDMs with you, and it's just nice to be able to have a chat with good people who you generally would be your friends, and that's how we've grown. We try and have some personality, I try and have a laugh, because life is way too short. I might die tomorrow, and at least I've made a bit of an impact.
Well, you've certainly made an impact, and I hope you don't. But I think business is all about, and life's all about, just being around people like and trust. And you have to, with a valuation, you have to trust it to make your lending decision. But it's really important. I picked up on something there, and I agree. It's something we say internally as well, because sometimes underwriting can be quite binary. It's worth this, that's that, and that's what the borrower is. But it's such an emotive moment. Somebody's put in 200, 300,000 pounds of their own hard-earned money into a transaction. It's so emotive for them, and you get it because they want to see that success. It may be that it's helping stop something else that's happening. So you have to embrace that emotion sometimes, and you embrace emotion through personality and pick the phone up, be a bit reassuring. You don't always have to do what they say they want. You don't always have to say it's worth £1 million.
Yeah.
And please don't ever do that. If it's not, it's not. And it's about just being on the front foot.
Do you know what? There's a real lack of empathy in the space. I think generally, I've got a couple of surveyors, and they won't mind me saying this. They've come from the big corps, and they have a wry little grin when they're down bow stuff. I was like, what's wrong with you? Why have you been indoctrinated like this? That shouldn't be like that. We should be wanting to help our lender clients lend well. But we want to see the market move ultimately as valuers, and it just does frustrate me, because there are, ultimately what a lot of lenders forget is that we only really exist so we can get sued fundamentally. That's why valuers are there. Otherwise, each lender would have an internal valuer. Why it makes complete sense to do that, make a lot more money on the fees, financially be a much better decision to make. But we exist to get sued, and guys that come from the big corporates are, like I said, I hate to use the word indoctrinated again, but they are, they're petrified of that. And it's like, don't let that cloud your judgment. If something's worth something, it's worth that. And don't get me wrong, I gave something 0 value the other day. And I felt awful. I was like, I felt really bad. I was like, I'm really sorry, but they've completely and utterly messed up their bill costs. It just does not stack up at all. But as long as if I speak to the broker to say, look, it's not going to work, give them a heads up before, and it just means they can manage the client's expectations. And that's all. I think that's the trick that a lot of valuers are missing. They're just submitting a report, move on to the next thing. And they're not really caring about the repercussions for their lender clients and for the brokers that have ultimately chose them from the panel that they've been offered.
You said one line there, 100% true. If it's worth that, it's worth it.
Yeah.
If it's worth X, it's worth X. And stand by your conviction, because that's essentially what you go through your training. Stand by your conviction, if that's what it is, and have your comparable evidence. Stand by. If it's under what they expected, show why. If it is what expected, show why. If it's over what's expected, I don't normally see that, but no. Show why. But no, it's all about standing by your conviction, and the big word there is accountability, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
You've got to be accountable for it. And that goes with service, it goes with everything.
What we've tried to bleed into our team is, because recruitment's been really hard to get the right people that buy into that mentality, but don't do any valuation that you will not be prepared to stand in front of the lender and stand in front of the applicant on.
Yeah.
And that's, if you stick by those principles, you're always going to do a good job. It's just when there's lazy valuation. It's a lot more on the term stuff, I think. That's where I've had really bad experiences on when I've been doing like a remortgage or a purchase, and the valuers just come in and they've got 9 valuations to do that day, and they're just ticking a box or whatever.
Yeah.
And just because something doesn't have comps doesn't mean it's not worth that. And I think that's where I've really struggled to kind of teach the guys, like, just because there is no comps doesn't mean it's not worth that. It's sometimes you have to be really good at your job, speak to local agents, find other micro systems that maybe in a different. I had one in recently in Teddington, and the closest kind of town village was Hampton Wick, and they're very similar. And you just have to just be good at your job. Fundamentally, it's not hard. We haven't got a hard job, and we overcomplicate it. It's not hard.
You have to find the value, don't you?
You got to find the value. And if it isn't there, just that's where the relationship. When I was chatting to, I think it was Shane, you guys, and some of the comps were tricky, but I can have a chat with you guys and just talk it through. And that's so important, having that relationship where you can just talk to your lender client and to say, this is what I'm finding at the moment. Have you got anything, what are you looking for? What's your risk profile? How much do you like the deal? Because there are some deals where you guys don't really want to do them. That's just natural. You've gone through. So it's just, communication is just so important now.
No, I think, but it's the art of good business as well.
Yeah.
It's the art of good, and sometimes it is about the personality, it is about enjoying it as well. So I mentioned at the beginning, obviously LinkedIn personality. So you've posted on LinkedIn every day for how long?
Over 2 years now. I've been doing LinkedIn consistently since 2000 and probably 16, 17. And I would not be here today. The whole business was built off LinkedIn. And it absolutely amazes me when professional services providers don't utilise it. But it's been a blessing for me because none of my rivals really do. So I've just had this open plan field, and because I don't like contrived content. I don't like kind of chat GPT posts. I've always tried and write from the heart. I write at the same time every day before I go to the gym. And I think people buy people now. And I think that's where we met, it was from that. And I was, I want to work with good people that I like, and I put myself out there on LinkedIn. And don't get me wrong, there are some people at some firms who won't even meet me based on my LinkedIn, right? And it's generally kind of like insecure men, generally. That's what I say. You can clickbait that if you want. But, and, I do put myself out there, but it's hard, mate. Running a business is hard. And, I've had some bad times in my life running a business when I have sleepless nights. I still have them, mate. I'm up at 3 every bloody morning trying to get reports out for clients, and I can't say I love it. And I find LinkedIn quite cathartic because I like the dopamine hits of likes. I can't lie about that. I'm an insecure chap generally, so I quite like it.
Well, you're part of my morning routine.
Thank you, mate.
I get up in the morning, see your posts. There's a couple of other people who do a regular post. I think that's quite nice, and then
thank you, mate.
I carry on with my day. But no, it's interesting. It's grown your brand, and then earlier this year you were rewarded for building that brand within a new sector, the Bridging and Co. So tell us about that.
I mean, the B&C Awards, the Bridging Commercial Awards, for anyone who don't know, is like the Oscars for kind of the lending world. It's a very glamorous event, and there's a very kind of iconic trophy. And I think we're the first firm valuation firm ever to win it in their first year of entering, and you can't buy it. I would have tried if you could. You can't buy it, and it's nominated by kind of brokers and lenders, and it meant everything to me. Like, yeah, I don't just mean this lightly. Like, it was probably like the best day of my life. Like, I loved it so much, and I was with my missus is a broker. Yeah. She was with me. She was next to me, and it made a change to have her next to me at those kind of events. And we were right at the back. So when I first got there, I was like, oh, we ain't going to win this because we're miles at the back. And one of my main rival firms, who I actually got on really well, were also at the back. And I was like, oh, they're going to win this. I think they're going to win. And then they called my name. And it's like the Titanic when they die and they kind of go on the boat at the end, everyone's there.
Right, okay, I'm with you now.
Do you know what I mean? They're all dressed up in the suits and stuff.
At the end?
Yeah, and they're all like
it's a 3-hour film. I was trying to work out which bit of the Titanic.
Yeah,
right at the end. Yeah.
Great film. And it was just such a magical moment, mate. And it was just so nice to see everyone that helped us along the way, and count yourself in there, and like other lenders. They're just giving us a chance. And they're taking a punt on us. And I'm quite lucky that a lot of people in my space now are kind of my age, we're those late 89, early 90s babies. And mate, it meant everything, and it just gave us a bit of authenticity, and I guess what's the word, validation that we've actually doing something well, and then kind of 2 fingers up at the people that didn't want to give us a shot, really. And there's always that little anarchist in me that wants to kind of like, oh, screw you, do you know what I mean? Like, we can do this, and we haven't got to be a massive corporate to do a good job.
No, what's nice is you obviously come up in conversations I might have with other lenders or brokers and that, and it's all you're just a genuinely good person.
Thanks, mate.
And that means that we people by people at the end of the day. We want to give you a shot, but actually the quality of the work, like, let's not just say it's all because LinkedIn and you're a great guy. The quality of the work, the turnaround times, etc., really makes a difference when it comes to bridging finance, because success loves speed at the end of the day.
I mean, it's like you guys have been great, and then like one of the points I want to talk about is like, I will actively recommend you now to my broker friends when they're talking about deals, because I think I sent one over to Alicia yesterday. Because I know you guys you do the job well, and if I can be part of that, I had to use the word ecosystem again, but I need to get thesaurus. But it's great, and like, it's just, for me, it's no skin off my nose getting up an extra couple of hours early to kind of get a report turned around quickly, because I know if you get something done really quickly, you're going to get more work. Ultimately, I'll get more work, and it's like it's nothing better than getting a report over to a client and it's stacked up. It's a good deal. It works. I know you're going to lend on it.
Yeah. And
it's a really nice feeling. It's the best part of the job for what is a job that doesn't necessarily give you too much back other than decent fees.
Nobody ever rings a value up and says, thank you very much for that valuation.
No, mate. No. They never do.
You might get a different conversation. It's like I always laugh in my role at work. Nobody ever rings me up to see if I'm having a good day. They normally ring me up because they've got a problem that needs solving.
But I think, like, in our space, mate, there's so many good people out there. Like, I've tried to create a little kind of family of lenders and brokers who I can call my friends, and I can text and ring and like, hey, getting on, mate. Like, I've got a couple of mates now who I'll actively check in on. And about piping on the whole kind of mental health stuff, it's important, in the space, because there's a lot of ups and downs, especially in like you're kind of in the lending and broker world. Like, there's a lot of ups in terms of I'm going to get loads of money, blah blah blah, but then it comes absolutely crashing down because the deal falls out of bed or the value has absolutely tanked the deal. And I have to witness that with my missus at home. She's got the pipeline's looking really good. We can do the extension at home, and then before you know it, it's just gone to pot because of various professionals involved. So yeah, I don't know where we're going with that point, to be honest, mate. I was just rambling on.
No, you're not. But what you're actually saying is what looks good on a Monday might be bad by a Friday. 100%. So it's a lot of peaks and troughs, and a bit like yourself, you're running a business, you got to think how to. Thank you very much. Always on brand. You've got to think how to. You've got to pay the staff. You've got to pay the national insurance costs change. That has a big impact to a business.
It really hit us, mate, because we're one of the. Like, a lot of our roles operate mainly consultant models, so they don't have PAYE. We do, and we pay good money to surveyors, and surveyors' salaries have gone through the roof.
Yeah.
From when I kind of started now, like, some of them will be earning over $100,000 this year, and that's a lot of money. Do you know what I mean? And then to put it into kind of numbers, like, for run our firm, it's probably near on $250,000 a month, right? To run them. I don't want to be open about it. It's a lot of money, and we have to find that in instructions. We're not just about lending. Obviously, we do other stuff. And my God, is that stressful, mate? Like, if you average instructions, say $1,000 for argument's sake, that's 250 instructions a month you need to kind of find, and it's a lot of pressure. And I think the reason I do LinkedIn so much is because it does generate leads, and it is so important. But if I didn't do it, I wouldn't be able to have the business that I have today. And for anyone else that's giving LinkedIn a go and really having a pop at it, like, fair play to them, because it is hard, and I think people do judge them, but they're only trying to have a career and do well for themselves. Like, why should anyone, all these Karens, or no offense to anyone called Karen, but like all these Karens that, oh, this isn't Facebook, or why are you being so personal, or whatever. Well, you got to do what works for you.
Then just let people do what they want.
100%.
As long as it's not hurting anyone,
Yeah,
and not being spiteful, just let people crack on, because
Agreed.
we're only here once, aren't we?
Just be nice.
Yeah, just be nice.
Just be a nice person. It's hard. Just be nice.
Be genuine.
Yeah.
So obviously, you have you done much media work yourself outside of LinkedIn?
Yeah, I've done a bit. I've got something else to tell you about in a minute as well. But yeah, so back in, I've always kind of loved the idea of it because I'm a vain idiot. But I've done a show called Selling Super Houses about 2 years ago on Channel 4, which is, I thought was going to change my life as like an apprentice. Got to the final, was absolutely robbed in the final, to be honest. But and then you had to wait a year for it to come out. And in that year, like, things change, because you're like, am I going to be famous, or am I look rich and all this jazz? And I was trying to run 2 businesses at the same time, and it was 12 weeks of 12-hour days this filming, so it was intense. And the show came out, and it just didn't land. It didn't do very well. And gave some great content for, socials and stuff, but it just didn't land. Had a little scratch. Done Homes and a Hammer, which was my real dream. That was lovely. We bought somewhere in Streatham, and we refurbed it and sold it, and that was a really cool experience.
Which host did you have? Who?
I think her name was, I can't remember her name. I didn't actually know her. Jackie.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
She was lovely. I wanted Dion, but I was fortunate enough to meet Dion, and his hands are massive. Like, he's the biggest hands I've ever met, to be honest. But yeah, and then I've got something else hopefully coming up involving my wedding.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't know why I'm doing it, to be honest, but I'm doing it.
Right. Okay.
Don't know how much my missus loves it, but we're going to do it.
Right.
Yeah. Let's just say I'm
Watch
going to be
this
getting
space.
married for not much money.
Right.
Like, not a lot at all. And I've got to have to make it work.
Like a don't tell the bride kind of thing.
Similar.
Right. Okay.
Kind of a bit like, not wife swap, but it's kind of like a wedding swap. Kind of swap budgets with someone else. Yeah. It's like a 90-minute show on Channel 5. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but it doesn't matter.
I look forward to watching that.
I don't, mate.
I don't envy you. So you've always got something going on.
You got it, mate. You got to make your own luck. Otherwise, you can't expect everything to be handed to you on a plate. And it gives me some stories and anecdotes to tell when I meet people. You know.
And one of the nice LinkedIn threads that I've followed of yours is obviously pleased that your mum's now finally retired.
She has, mate. Yeah, she. Like, we, without getting my little violin out, like, we were really poor growing. My dad left when I was really young, which obviously is a long-running joke on LinkedIn. And, she gave everything for us. We live in quite a rough neighbourhood, so she always wanted to make sure she was there for us when we got home from school. So we didn't get into trouble. And I didn't get into trouble. I was a good little Catholic boy. And then, yeah, she just worked as a little cleaner, bless her, all her life. Like, she lives in one of the flats that I own. And, she's a little, I'm the favourite, obviously. And, it was just,
despite calling you Colin, you're still the favourite.
Yeah, it was that or Gary, mate. And Gary's worse.
I mean, that's very Essex. But
Yeah, and Ferrari was third place.
Right. Okay.
My dad's never driven a Ferrari. He was a bus driver. Can you imagine? I'd have been really bullied. But so yeah, she's the same, man. She keeps me grounded. She'll never tell me to push myself. And she's great for content. She's like, because she was fostered, so she's got this like posh accent, which is a proper like. It doesn't match with me. It doesn't make, like, where's this geezer come from? Like, doesn't pronounce his T's, and my mum's like very well spoken. So she's been good as gold, mate, and she hopefully will be on this show. But I've got to convince her. So every time I film her, she doesn't know I'm filming her. Like, try and get some content out of her.
No, because I think everyone was genuinely really pleased when you seen her with a bouquet of flowers and she retired.
Oh, mate, yeah.
You all bought into it.
Oh, mate, I think you see people actually proper grafting and are good people, and it's like, do you know what? Like, that's kind of what we work for, and it's very because in our world, like, there's a type of money that certain people make and stuff. It's sickening, And when I see how much you work for, like, I don't know, £500-600 a month or whatever, it's like, Jesus Christ, like, the world's pretty messed up, really. Not that I'm one of those kind of socialists, but it is a little bit messed up sometimes, So just doing what I can, mate, to give her a good life when she retires, and she's always around my house, like all the time, and she does my cleaning now. So I've saved some money on the cleaner.
Well, she's professional at it as well.
You'd be surprised, mate. The quality ain't great, but
So, as always, we started this off to talk to you
Sorry,
about
mate.
valuations. We've ended up talking about
my
your
mum.
yeah. Well, that I think that's just you. That,
Yeah.
You know, and that's what why you've landed so well in the space that we operate in, and it's why people think a lot, and why we really wanted to have you on. So finally, we got you to come up to Manchester.
You did.
See us, and then off back down to Essex we go. But Colin, thank you very much for coming to see us today.
No worries, mate. Thank you for having me.
Cheers,
Appreciate
and thank you very much for watching. Thank you.